What's up, bloggers? Tran Dum Dum, come back at you again.
This isn't a real pot. We don't have a bell. We're a different film.
Garen's off location.
We got some.
This didn't happen to Garen. This happened to us.
We got some stuff finished in the basement, so it's loud over there right now. So
You got some stuff. You got some people finished in the basement.
People.
Come on, stuff.
I think some people have probably seen this porch because we've done a few different videos back here. It's Mom and Dad's back porch, right across the street.
We move all over the place. We're like a rolling stone.
So this is the. How crazy would you say it is? He's never had anything like that happen to you, have you?
No, he got me.
So we, I don't know how long ago this started. How long ago did it start?
Joey's the first one that called and told me about it. Or he told us all about it, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. Called me. How do you, I don't know how long ago it was. What was it, 4 months ago?
Probably 5 or 6 months ago.
5 or 6 months ago.
It was right before.
I can't remember anything.
I guess it was right before the main channel got taken down, or right after the main channel got taken down.
Yeah, because you were talking to him about that in the middle of it.
I wasn't talking to him about that at all, because we didn't even talk to him. What happened was a guy contacted Joey.
From Climax Motorsports.
Yeah. And the guy was out of Canada. And he claimed that he wanted to pay for...
Wanted to sponsor a truck build.
A truck build. And it was for me, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to pay for anything I wanted to do to the truck.
That's what he said.
That's how he started. Anything.
Had no dollar amount, no nothing.
And Joey goes, you know, this could be this, you know. He said, I don't care, whatever he wants to do, I want to pay for it. And I guess Joey just kind of blew it off and didn't say anything about it. He kind of just was like, well, this guy's, you know, nuts. He's not doing. Well, then the guy keeps contacting Joey.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, hey, when are you gonna do this build? You know what I mean? I want, you know, I got my card here, I'm gonna pay for it, whatever. So then Joey contacts us and tells us about it, and me and him were like, what? You know what I mean?
He said you guys need to talk to this guy.
Yeah, because it was Joe was blowing Joey away. Joey's like, I've never even heard anybody talk like this.
And this had Joey going for a while too.
It had us all going.
Yeah,
he got us all with this. He got Amy.
I think it was Saturday. That Joey called us that week. We're like, okay, well, we were sitting on the back porch with Mom and Dad. And we're like, well, we'll give him a call. So,
yeah, Joey gave us his number.
Yep, and he's in Canada.
So we called him.
Yep.
And man, he talked and
he's the type of guy when you get on the phone with him, you cannot get off.
Can't get off the phone.
I mean, when you talk to him, you're literally on the phone with him.
And super nice guy.
Yeah.
I mean, super nice guy. I mean, he told us he was a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
He was a doctor, but he made his money doing other things. You know, he had stocks and whatever. So, I mean, everything sounded totally legit. You know, it was just totally legit. So
yeah, he wanted to sponsor. It first started off as a truck builder, then we were talking to him on the phone, and then it was real weird. He would change it all of a sudden, like he said, well,
why don't we do this? Why
Yeah.
don't we do this? It's like he's bouncing.
He's like, why don't we go buy? I almost swore he said 3 or 4 Jeeps. Buy 3.
He did that. He did that after first.
What did he do?
First, he wanted us to have something to like give away for the new channel, like we could have giveaways. He said, well, why don't we do the giveaways for the channel? He said, I'll ship you all. How many TVs was it? Like 10 TVs.
Yeah, TVs.
Then Apple, all new Apple stuff, all new Apple phones, all new Apple computers.
Well, the deal with that came after. So he came and said that with the TVs, and then he went from the TVs to, instead of doing a truck build, why don't we, for the giveaway, why not I just pay for your guys' truck builds, and then I'll also get 3 or 4 Jeeps, and then you guys can fix those up and give those away.
Yeah, that's what he wanted Joey to be involved too. He wanted Joey's shop to be. So he was involving everybody here. You know what I mean? So it's like
crazy money.
Crazy money. Well, then he tells us he's going to get whatever 10 TV. I can't remember the number of TVs. All new Apple equipment, embroidered that said TheBellLife on the back of it. Everything, phones, iPods, new computers.
So what he did with that was he actually put an order in.
He put an order in because Joey looked it up.
Yeah, put an order in through Apple, and it was, I think it was, he had like 6
MacBook Pros.
6 iPad Pros.
Yeah, whatever.
And like 2 or 3 MacBook Pros.
Whatever. They're like $6 or $8 grand a piece.
And like 10 Apple Watches and 10 iPhones.
And he wanted us to give all this away on the channel.
And they were all going to be engraved with the BellLife on the back, and then and I'm kind of, the money he was talking, I'm like, this is crazy. You know, this is really weird why this person's going to do this.
But then Joey looked up because he told us he had a certain kind of car. Remember that?
Yeah.
He said he had some kind of like McLaren. It was some kind of crazy car, and Joey looked it up, and there was only so many of these cars sold in the. I think he said it was sold. Didn't he say it was sold in Dubai?
That's why we're having trouble remember this, because this was like...
This has been like months ago. We just decided we would tell you all about it. Hey, the car was only sold in Dubai, and there was only like...
Was it like 1.4 million?
Yeah, the car was something ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, there was a car registered in Canada, one of these cars, and it was registered to this guy.
Yeah.
So we're like, good God. I mean, we're talking $1.5 million car or something. Like I said, the numbers, it was just astronomical, the numbers were. Because, I mean, you can't even fathom these kind of numbers. Just like, what? So then I'm thinking, this dude's going to do it. Now, come to find out, he tells us the reason he's doing this is because his kid had over 1 million subscribers.
Supposedly, yeah.
Supposedly his kid had over 1 million subscribers and was being bullied off of YouTube, basically the same way that our situation was. And people were pushing and making horrible comments and calling him was a Jew and this, that, and the other.
It's kind of just like how...
Because he was Jewish or something, and he said that they were talking about all this stuff, and we're listening, okay. So, you know what I mean? I'm still kind of in a gray area, but finding the car and the guy's name for that kind of money had me really, like, had the hook in my mouth. I'm like, man, this guy's got some money, man, and he's not... So the
one thing that got me that I thought something was up is when he said that he was related to the guys at
Mythical Mountain, Mythical Magic, what are they called?
Oh my gosh, Good Mythical Morning.
That's it.
Rhett and Link. You know, it's a huge YouTube channel.
Huge channel.
And you know, over 15 million subscribers. And then he started saying names and of, you know, who he's a cousin related to them somehow, and he knows them, blah blah blah. I'm like, why wouldn't he go to those guys? You know, we had 500,000 subscribers.
Yeah, use them what you want to do.
Yeah, I didn't understand that. And then I started looking it up, and they didn't have a cousin, you know, related to him in that name. And I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. And then
it still had me though. I was still hooked.
And he kept going on and on. And so then it went from sponsoring truck builds to he's gonna send us was it $275,000?
Some kind of crazy amount of
He
money.
was going to send us $275,000 to
on a card
to be able to pay bills off and pay all this stuff off. And I'm like, man, this is absolutely. And then he'd hook me again. I'm like, man, this is really crazy.
Well, I'll tell you what he'd do to me. He'd get me on the phone. I mean, this was over the course of how long?
Like a month and a half or 2 months.
Yeah, it went on and on and on. Then he'd get you on the phone. Before he got you on the phone, let me stop there. He said the TVs and the Apple equipment was on its way.
Yep.
It was shipped. So then he said he was having trouble getting it out of Canada because of customs, and you know I deal with shipping, and I knew that's always an issue, and so it would kind of drag on and on and on. Well, then he went with this other transport company that I've heard of, and he said this is what I'm using, this is the tracking number, blah 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 blah.
So he did ship that.
He did. Yeah, he didn't ship it. He said he shipped it.
No. But we didn't know that yet. So he goes, he couldn't figure out a way to give us money, supposedly.
Without him having to pay taxes.
Yeah, without him having to. So he was doing it, the way he was explaining it, is to screw his government in Canada so he didn't have to pay taxes on the money. So it was basically free for him to send us this money.
So at this point we're like, well, I get it. I mean, this guy's making a bunch of money and he don't want to spend taxes.
He's using it as a write-off.
He's a write-off.
So then we're like, okay, well that makes sense. Well, he couldn't figure it out. So then he starts talking about Bitcoin, that he had like
millions,
a crap load of
$82 million or something.
Yeah, crazy amount of money in Bitcoin. So then started talking to Joey, and Joey down at Climax is really familiar with Bitcoin. So then he got me excited about that, how the Bitcoin was going. I didn't know anything about it. And I went down to Climax with Joey and had like a Bitcoin
conversation.
Yeah, about how all this stuff works. And I created an account, and this guy from Canada says, well, I'm going to go ahead and transfer. It was like maybe 2 Bitcoin or 2.5 Bitcoin or whatever. And then it was like $60-something thousand a coin or something. And I'm like, man, this could be cool. And we're watching it go up and down. And Joey's like, well, if he does that, just keep that in there as an investment, you know, as it goes up and down. And
you don't touch it.
I'm like, man, that's really cool too. And because all kinds of stuff was getting, you know, talked around, like with the Chevy, you know, we were talking about, man, we could just put this 1,300 horsepower motor just in the Chevy. The motor.
But he would get you on the phone. This is what he did: get you on the phone. He'd call dealerships.
Yeah.
Camper dealerships.
Yeah.
We called right here local, one of the biggest dealers in Cincinnati. He was going to order 2 Jeeps.
Yep.
2 Jeeps, then it went from 2 Jeeps to 2 trucks.
Yep.
And the conversation would stay on, and I felt like I was like, I wanted to say, let's do it. But then he would always shift gears and say, why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? So I wasn't, I was obviously just stupid to the fact that he was just jacking us off, you know what I mean? And it kept going and going and going. Well, then finally, throughout the 3 or 4 weeks that this shipment was supposed to be coming to Joey's, because he had to ship it to a business. He couldn't ship it to us, to our personal resident. Joey pulls the order up from Apple. And the order says it was canceled.
Well, actually, yeah, Joey's wife, Jordan, she pulled it up and found out that it was ordered and canceled on the same day. Yeah.
So we didn't know that, obviously, if we would have known that. So that right there, that turned a light on me. I said, he's a clown.
So then, so in the middle, keep in mind, he talked to you probably 4 or 5 days a week.
A bunch.
And it was like, and keep in mind when you talk to him, it's like a 2-hour-long conversation. And it's really weird, we weren't, he kept...
Man, the guy was all super nice guy, and it's like, this is, so it was not comforting. I mean, it wasn't a big deal to talk to him, but the promises and the promises, it went from the TVs to the Jeeps to the... He had us over here, remember the RV conversation?
Yeah, because
he called one of the biggest RV dealers in the country and was going to get an RV for us to film in outside the house. Yeah. So we didn't have to film inside the house. That was another one. He orders, he says, talking to the guy on the phone with us on three-way, and tells the guy, I want to get it ordered. What do we got to do? And the guy said, let me check on this, and I'll get back to you. And you know how that was. That was just like the front of, okay, we're done talking about this, and then he could start something else. It's like,
that's as far that's how it went every time. He would get you on, first it's
he gets that hook in there,
first,
and then
first it's sponsoring a truck build, and then it's like, well, I'm just going to send you all money so you can help you all out with bills, and then it goes from that to Bitcoin. I'm going to send you guys Bitcoin, and
then he said he kind of wanted us to help his son start his own website, like we did, because they were really amazed how the website was doing really well, and blah blah blah, and he wanted us to tell him how we did that and what that entailed.
Yeah, it's really weird. I didn't know why he wanted advice. I'm like, we didn't.
No, we don't even know him.
Yeah, we
don't know the guy from Adam. You know what I mean? It's just when you get into social media, though, all kinds of people contact you and talk to you, and most of it is bullshit. But this guy had me hook, line, and sinker. I'm not gonna lie to you. And he had Justin the same way. Justin backed out before I did, and Justin just said he just wants to talk.
We were in the basement working out, and I found out that I'd been talking to Joey about it, and Joey's like, yeah, there's something going on with this guy. And what's really weird, though, is he didn't have anything to gain on anything he was doing besides just messing with us.
Nothing. I mean, if he just wanted to talk to us that bad.
It wasn't even about the money part of it, but what was really cool about it is that's what we were talking about doing before we lost the
main channel.
Before we lost this channel. And before we lost
giveaways,
the original Ask the BellLife, we wanted to do truck giveaways. Right. That's what the Dodge and Trey's truck were for. And hopefully, if everything keeps going the way it is, we'll be able to do that eventually. But
every time we turn around, something else smacks us in the face.
Thought this would be really cool, and this guy's going to help us out with that. We can help us grow our channels and even bigger than they already were, and it was awesome. That's where he had us.
So anyway. Where I shut the door is when Joey called me. This all was going on, and then Joey called me and Justin and said that order was done and canceled in the same day, which that hadn't happened yet. We kind of threw that in there, but that hadn't happened until like the very end of it. And then I called him immediately.
Well, no, you sent him a text.
I sent him a text
while we were working out because Trey got mad at me, and I said, Trey, this because I'd been kind of out of it for probably two weeks or something like that. I said, I think he's, and then it also had me because he kept saying, he's like, I think he's 100% legit.
I thought, man, after the car thing, the $1 million car registered or whatever it was in his name just had me, I'm like, this guy's got to have money.
And then my real good friend is, was he talking about the Jeeps then? Yeah, maybe it was the Jeeps. I can't remember what he was talking about. But here in the last few weeks of this going on,
worked at that dealership.
Yeah, my friend works at the dealership, and his brother is a really big wig at these dealerships, and he calls him, or I call my buddy and ask him,
is this legit?
Is this guy really buying these vehicles? Because I was trying to find out if he's legit or not. So he called me like, yeah, he called here and talked to these different people, and he wants to order these Jeeps, but he had never sent any money.
Right.
It was always just talk.
Just talk.
Which is really weird. I'm like, what's he gaining out of this? Calling all these? It's like calling
Walmart,
a pizza.
Walmart, yeah, whatever.
It's like calling a pizza place and ordering 100 pizzas.
And you ain't got no money.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And
so all we could figure is he just wanted to talk to us, which I don't understand. I mean,
so then
which is fine, but
so we're working out, and this was getting me and him into arguments because I was finally out of it. I'm like, there's no way this guy's real after doing all this research. And
I was still talking to him on a daily basis, like we would talk, like friends,
And I was there towards the end. I was being I wasn't answering his calls because when he would call me, he would get you on the phone for like an hour and a half, and I stopped.
It wasn't an hour and a half. I mean, it doesn't matter, but I was still talking to him, and Justin had shut him down, which is obviously the smart thing to do.
And then I told Trey, I said, I'm like, because me and Joey had talked earlier that day, and I'm like,
still didn't know the order had been canceled yet. Okay, so I'm still sucked in by the TVs, all the stuff. Said it was ordered, it was done, blah blah blah.
So that's what it was. So
he sent us a tracking number.
Yeah, and this order had a bunch of because Trey, it's hard to find right now, is not sugar, caffeine-free Diet Mountain Dew.
Yeah, he said he could get it up there.
And he put like 4 or 5 cases of that in there, and he supposedly slipped because something happened with the Bitcoin, and he couldn't send us Bitcoin. So then he sent
because of tax purposes.
He sent like 5 or 6 $11,000 Bitcoin cards that were connected to his account that supposedly he could do.
That ran in the whole shipment with the TVs and all the stuff was in the same shipment together. Yeah. Coming to Joey's.
Yep.
Well, then me and him were arguing that day of the thing, and then I told him you're stupid, forget it. And then Joey had called us, hadn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Joey called us that in the middle we were working out, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And Joey said, that Jordan, his wife, found out that the order was placed that day and canceled that day. So that's the first time.
And he took pictures on his phone,
which has been now the extreme of 2 months, probably a month and a half, whatever it is. So then I was like, what? So I text him immediately because we were texting, sending TikToks back and forth. I FaceTimed, met his wife. I mean, the whole nine. Like it's like what the crap? You know what I mean? Really? So I text him immediately. Well, then he sends back something. What'd he say?
He went from extremely hot to
mad.
Yeah.
Mad.
I can't believe you guys don't
think I'm lying. You think I'm not telling the truth, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, in a nutshell, it just went away.
Yeah.
From that point on, it went away.
But keep in mind, that shipment that he had shipped out, it was like 3 weeks or something.
Oh, he kept pushing it off. I can't get through customs. So I like I said, I deal with shipments and stuff. Logistics. So I know going through customs is a pain.
Especially
plus,
right now.
Yeah, COVID, all this fake COVID crap is going on. Not fake. Don't freak out. I'm not a big firm believer in this COVID stuff. I think it was a pandemic. That's a whole nother ball of wax. But all that was going on, so everybody was acting all silly about, shipping stuff out of town and whatever, you know what I mean? Stuff coming here and going there, you know what I mean? So that was a whole nother ball of wax. So basically, he could use that, like everybody else in this country has used that, as an excuse. So it was an excuse. Well, it didn't go out because of COVID. Because they won't let it go through customs.
And then you think in the back of your mind, that maybe
that makes sense. That can make sense. So like I said, there was so much stuff that kept me reeled in to the point where I was like, this is this really, you know what I mean? And then when Joey said that was canceled, I was like, and I texted him right then and there, boom. As we're working out, I take the phone and I go, what's the deal? It says this order's canceled. And I sent him pictures of the canceled order. And he flipped the script. You know what I mean? It was totally, can't believe you guys don't believe me, blah, 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 blah.
I mean, and this guy was going as far as he was going to move from Canada to here.
Oh, yeah.
He was going to move.
We got him a realtor.
Yeah.
A local realtor we know. He called a local realtor talking about buying some kind of mansion and this, that, and the other. Sent us pictures. And I mean, it can go on and on. It was like one of those deals like and then all of a sudden when it went away, I was like, my gosh, I've never had that happen to me in my life. Especially with a dude. Like a dude. I mean, like women. And I was way before computers anyway, so women couldn't do that to me. But people say it happens to them all the time with getting catfished, and I'm like, what's catfish? Well, we got it big time.
Yeah.
I mean, we got it big time. And I still, to this day, have no clue what he got out of it.
That makes no sense.
I mean, unless he just thought we were, Brad Pitts, and he had to talk to us, and we were so, we were that popular, and he thought we were that in a nutshell. I mean, which I think we are.
But he would do that with everything. He's going to call this dealership and get this stuff ordered.
He didn't say he was going to call. He had me on three-way twice.
Yeah, he would call him. He would call him and
do it. The Jeeps and then the RV.
Yeah.
I mean, then he told me he's going to get a Porsche. He said, "What? You ever heard of this kind of Porsche? With some kind of, I can't even remember what it was. He told me it's the fastest Porsche made, SUV, blah, blah, blah. on and on and on with the tire sizes, and he knew all the specs of everything. I'm going, how's this guy? But then I kept thinking, well, it's that, just like I said, we looked his car up, and he said he had this certain car, and I really wish Joey's probably laughing at us because we can't remember the name of that car.
I can't remember the name of it.
It was some kind of stupid, I think it was a BMW, wasn't it? It was some kind of crazy BMW.
I can't remember what it was. It was something. I mean, it was absolutely, it was crazy. But I mean, like I said, 2 or 3 weeks towards the end there, I kind of backed out, and that was getting me and him into arguments because he was still believing him, and I'm like, man, there's no way.
He got us into one argument, and I said, I got us into argument, and then he sent that text, and when Trey sent the text to him, he immediately went cold, and then Trey said, well, crap, I just screwed everything up, blah, 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 and I'm like, well, maybe, because he kept having me, I didn't know if it was real or not, if it was real. I'll tell you what, of all the things in my life when it comes to somebody screwing with me, that was probably the biggest I've been screwed with. That was the biggest I've ever been screwed with because he had me hook, line, and sinker. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
he really did.
It was the craziest thing in the world, and I mean, it was, what was really cool about
Still no reason to do it.
Is it was back before this original channel, you know, the BellLife vlogs, you know, when we had like 106 or 107,000 subscribers. It was back when, you know, it was a really big channel.
Yeah.
For us, it was big, and the giveaways was just going to blow it up, you know, because everybody's doing these giveaways. I'm like, man, that'd be really cool. So, we, you know, but whatever. It was a crazy deal. I don't know if anybody else out there has been through something like that. Maybe with dating, but
I don't think he ever even talked to Garen, did he?
No,
Garen wasn't even involved.
No, I don't think he. No.
But he had Amy convinced. He had us on three-way with the RV dealer right in the kitchen over there where we film, talking to this guy like we were going to get this camper. You know, it was a fifth wheel. What?
But no, it was a Cyclone. It was $110,000 camper.
Whatever it was.
Yeah, and
he would just act like it's no big deal. Oh, I don't care about the cost. We want to get he would say, we're going to get the cushions embroidered with the BellLife on them. He'd always add something in. It's like, yeah, it was like he was just on cue to say it. You know what I mean? You're like, what the crap? He had pictures of the MacBook and all that stuff that said the BellLife.
Oh yeah, that's what it was too. We were when Trey was getting his Harley that day. Trey was signing all the paperwork and everything. I was on the phone with him because he said, how's your guys' camera equipment? And I'm like, well, I mean, I said actually, we normally get a new camera like every 2 or 3 years. I said we actually just got
stuff gets outdated in 6 months.
Yeah, I said we actually just got a camera, and he's like, what about a backup camera? I'm like, well, we have a camera that we had 2 or 3 years ago. That's what we use if something happens. He's like, go through this website. He's like, this camera store is right down the street from me. He's like, and pick out a bunch of stuff you want. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna test them. I said, I picked out like $15,000, almost $20,000 worth of camera equipment. I sent it to him, all in this list. Took me, he was signing paperwork and going through everything with the Harley. It was like an hour and a half long deal. Sent it to him. He's like, he sends me a check mark. He said, ordered, done. And that was going to be in the order too.
You'll put that with the TV.
With all that other stuff. And then on top of that, I'm like, well, he's sending all this computer stuff, and something we actually do kind of need right now. We got, I think our MacBook, or not MacBook, our Mac Pro or whatever, the desktop version is like, I think it's like a 2016 or a 17. And I'm like, we actually could use a new computer, but they're like $10,000.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
And he's like, well, I'll take a couple of the iPad Pros off, and he's like, I'll order you one of those. What do you want? And I sent him that. It was like a $11,000 computer. He's like, done. I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, I want to mess with him a little bit. I'm like, what about a new MacBook Pro? Because our laptop that we use is like from 2012. Yeah. And he's like, there's already 2 of them in the order. And I'm like, oh crap, there is. I'm like, okay, we'll keep one and give one away. I'm like, he had me going, because he would say stuff like that, because anything that's towards the YouTube and our social media stuff to help it and grow and give back to you all. I'm like, that would be awesome.
Right. And it doesn't cost us anything out of our pocket.
Yeah, and it didn't work because giveaways are a huge gamble, and if you can lose big, and it's we really don't want to lose big, no. Especially after we've lost everything that we've lost
big 3 times. I don't want to lose again. Sucks.
So he had us going forever, and then when he sent that text to him, and then he responded with that, he was pissed that we didn't believe him, and I thought, and then Trey's like, well, we probably just screwed that up, and I'm like, well, and I still kind of think about it every once in a while, maybe we did screw it up, but the order was supposed to be coming, and it never came, and
never showed up. Like I said, I don't even really think about it anymore, because obviously, if it's ordered on the same day and canceled on the same day, something's up.
And then the tracking.
We didn't know that till 2 months after it was ordered, supposedly.
Yeah, the tracking number that he would send
Would never.
It
ship.
didn't work.
Right.
It didn't work.
Tried to put it in. It was fake.
Yeah, it didn't work. And then there was a bunch of red flags.
There wasn't a bunch. There wasn't a bunch of red flags for me at all.
Well, ordered and canceled on the same day, and then he would.
Yeah, but we didn't know that, Justin, until 2 months after it started.
Well, when it started for me is when his pattern was the same. He's going to order these vehicles, and he would talk about a bunch of money, and then he's going to get them ordered, and then he would get them ordered, and then nothing would ever come, and then he would switch, and like, okay, well, I'm going to order you a bunch of camera equipment. Then he would switch.
But here's the deal: a lot of the stuff, like the Jeeps, when he started doing that, like I felt bad, like saying, "Yeah, do it, let's get it here." I'm thinking. I said, man, you don't have to do this, So I would kind of talk him off the ledge to some extent because I was like, I felt bad about it. You know what I mean?
But then he would come back with that he's got $50 or $60 million in the bank, and this is a drop in the bucket. And it's a tax write-off.
It's a write-off. Don't worry about it.
I'm like, well, maybe he is like an Elon Musk or something, and he's trying to help us out. Maybe we're getting a miracle right now. But nothing ever happened.
No.
It was the craziest. I don't know if you want to call us stupid. Call us stupid. Don't believe us. But
no, that's exactly. I don't care what they call us. It's exactly the truth. So I mean, But he had me. I'll give you that. He did. So it is what it is at this point. You know what I mean?
So
but it's experience. You can always say you experienced it. I never had experience until then. So
I never been catfished by a girl. But
I've never been catfished by a girl either. But I didn't have the internet when I was younger, so that it could be out of it. It was impossible for them to catfish me at that age.
Man, it was a crazy deal. But that's what I went down and checked the PO box today, and I think there was like 6 or 7 packages. But y'all, most of everybody seems like they like a 20 or 30 minute long video, and it really wouldn't be long enough to do that. So we're still gonna maybe
be next week.
Yeah, try to do the every other week, and then
until we start getting more stuff, obviously.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing. But
hopefully we do. If we don't, then we'll keep doing what we're doing.
But that's our catfish story.
Y'all got a good catfish story?
Oh, better leave it now.
Let us know.
Like, share, and subscribe, especially to this channel and Ask the Bell Life. And then we've been talking about our website. It's TheBellLife.com. We upload Sunday, Wednesdays, and Fridays just like we did on YouTube on there. And
you win $1,000 a month.
Yeah. Thanks a ton for all your guys.
One person can win $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
One person.
And you enter for that at TheBellLifeGiveaways.com. And then if you want to send a question, it's AskTheBellLife
at TheBellLife.com.
At TheBellLife.com. Yeah. Somebody sent us a message on.
You can't put BellLife. You have to put The BellLife.
No. Somebody they tried to send an email, and they typed into their email AskTheBellLife at AskTheBellLife.com.
Right.
And it's AskTheBellLife at TheBellLife.com. Yeah. So
but you can't look for the site either under just BellLife.com. You have to put TheBellLife.com.
Yeah.
So make sure you got all that in there, and y'all have a excellent night.
Merry Christmas.
Party on, Link.
See you on the next one.